GG.
You're at a real crunch for time, you can take a little bit of a shortcut. This map has a really obvious shortcut. You pop through here. So I controlled all three items. I was there for all three spawns. If my opponent was waiting for any of the three, I was there to challenge. Every player has a bit different tolerance towards gambling for frags. What's up, everybody? It's Heartthrob GG here, bringing in another duel strategy video. This time we're talking about movement, how to get from point A to point B, different routes, keeping control, and how to improve your positioning, whether you're in control or out of control. If you like this video, make sure you hit subscribe. I got a few more videos on the way. Get notified for those, but let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is routes. So in order to do routes, what I mean by routes is this is going from point A to point B. So for example, I'm going to use going from red to mega on this level. If you want to go from red to mega, there's different routes. There's different ways you can take to get there. So the reason it's important to know these routes is because you need to know the timing it takes to get from red to mega in all different routes. So if you have lots of time, you might take the long route. If you have no time, you got to take the fastest route, but you kind of need to know how long it takes on each route. And also from a defensive standpoint, you need to know where your opponent might be coming from. So an example is if I'm picking up red, a common route is going to be to drop down here and start heading under here. And how long did that take me to get from red to mega? Not very long, so it was actually pretty quick. Another example of route, you pick this up, maybe you need the rocket launcher, you come over here, you pick up your rocket launcher, you get your shaft, and then you jump over here. How long did that take, right? I think it was maybe a little bit longer, not by much. And maybe you got a lot of time till it spawns, so you head over to this way and you start taking this direction and you head under here. Why not? You got a bit more time to make it there, but now you came in through a different entrance. So 3 different entrances, I came in that way. And then it's always important to know the absolute fastest, because if you're at a real crunch for time, you can take a little bit of a shortcut. This map has a really obvious shortcut. You pop through here and I'm already down onto the mega. So that's the fastest one. These are all important to know because you might be on this side of the map waiting for the mega to spawn. You know your opponent is getting red. Maybe they don't have a lot of time, and then you have a good idea. He might pop through this area right here. You might hear them, but you just need to know the routes that they have potentially able to take to get into this room. Another way that routes are used is to cycle items. So a lot of these items have the same cooldown. So the red, the blue, the yellow, all the armors have a 25-second cooldown. So if you go the same route, they're going to spawn in the same order. So say I want to pick up this red, drop down and get this blue, and then I make my way over and I pick up the yellow. So I just picked up all three and I got a bit of time to spare now. I can go do whatever I need to do. Maybe I go find him, I get into a little bit of a fight, come back here, I make it back with lots of time. Now that this is spawning, I pick this up, and as I pick these up, I have too much health right now, but I know the order. So now the blue comes up, and then I head over here just like I did last time, and now I'm seeing the yellow pop up. So I controlled all three items. I was there for all three spawns. If my opponent was waiting for any of the three, I was there to challenge it. It's also important to recognize what your opponent is doing in terms of trying to set up control routes, because if you know and they're going one direction, I might know that every time that my opponent picks up red, he drops down for blue. I can hatch a little bit of a trap right here, see him coming, or I can try to stand on it and contest it, but I just know where my opponent's coming from if they're doing a really obvious route like that. Now this is just perilous, but every map is going to have its own routes, its own fastest way from the most important items that you're going to want to control, as well as the alternate routes that you're able to take if you got more time. So you kind of got to learn all these for the maps that you're playing, and that'll give you an advantage knowing where my opponent's coming from, knowing where I can go in order to get from point A to point B the fastest. So on the note of control and routes, I also want to talk about positioning, which opens up the door for peak shots as well. But positioning means where am I trying to be based on where I know my opponent is going to be. So for instance, if I'm waiting and I'm hoping to get the mega and I hear my opponent, where do I want to be knowing that they come from? I could be down here hoping, hey, maybe he's going to come from up there, but this is a bad position to be in because I got the low ground. I don't have much opportunity to even get the mega. I'm just in a real bad spot here. The only way I can go is run this way, or I can run this way, or if I teleport up here, I'm kind of still in the fight. So another example of positioning is to be up here. This is such a good position to be because you have the high ground, so you have control over what is going on in the fight. If I want to peek out and fight, I can. If I don't want to, well, I can just back off. I got this exit, I got this exit, I got this exit. I can drop down. You got all kinds of exits from up here. So if I'm out of control, I got positioning. I can kind of stay away. I can control when this fight is going to happen. And if I know the routes, then I can be aware how my opponent might come up and attack me. Some of the basics about positioning is you typically want high ground. If I'm on the low ground, I can't control the fight. If I'm up here, say, and I'm trying to fight someone who is down below, I have the control of when I appear and when I go into hiding. Right? I can also shoot down with rockets, and there's lots of splash damage. When I'm from the bottom and I'm looking up, I have no control over when my opponent is going to peek out or not. So it's poor position to be on the bottom. You're vulnerable to when they want to fight. They're in control of the fight. Some other basics of control is that typically if you don't have more health and armor, if you don't have a bigger stack than your opponent, then you kind of want to be keeping your distance, because if the both of you shoot the same, they're gonna win because they got more health. If you do engage in that battle, you're relying on yourself out aiming the other person. So again, when you're out of control, when you're low on health, you want to be keeping your distance. But if you are the person who is in control, then you got to learn how to close the distance. A very common strategy when you're out of control is to be keeping your distance using the pincer. You want to have just a very small line of sight. Say I know my opponent's coming around this corner. I'm going to shoot him and I'm going to back away. I'm going to shoot him and I'm going to back away. So your opponent is often going to try to keep their distance and whittle away at your health. If they're able to keep the high ground, then they can shoot at you. If they land, maybe they'll take another shot. If you land against them, well, they can back off because they have the high ground. So when you're in control, you want to be taking the high ground. You have more health, so you can push them off of it, as well as you need to learn how to close the distance, how to move very quickly and surprise your opponent. Whenever you're trying to close the distance, your enemy might be able to hear where you're coming from, and it's often that they are going to try to surprise you with an attack. They're going to have a rocket ready for you. They're going to have a pincer shot and run around a corner. So as you're charging, if you're trying to close the distance, it's actually very obvious and easy to hit. So you need to understand when to commit for a kill. If you believe you have that much more health that you can take a few shots and continue to barrel forward and get the kill, well, then that's what you want to do. If you don't have enough health, if taking one rocket is going to make you lose this fight, then you got to be a bit more smart about how you approach them. Every player has a bit different tolerance towards gambling for frags. What I mean by that is you might have the same amount of health and you have decided, I'm going to commit to this fight and one of us is going to win, whoever out aims the other person. A lot of players don't like to do that. They like to only commit to a fight if they have more health and armor. Give them that bit of an edge. Or if they start the fight with a nice clean rocket or a pincer shot, that puts them up in health. Now they're ready to commit to a fight. Sometimes you might have less health, less armor, and still commit to a fight because you just believe, I got the advantage of my positioning here. I can do more damage. Somehow I'm going to win this fight. And you commit that way. So you'll notice as you watch the pros, as you watch the high caliber players play this game, they start to understand where are the safe opportunities to be landing peak shots. Where can I shoot someone and run away cleanly? He's got no opportunity to hit me. How do I barrel into somewhere and close the distance on someone? So you see how all these things kind of work together. Learning the fastest way around the map, all different routes to get around the map, is going to help you know what position that you need to be in. If you need to predict where your opponent's coming from or where they might be hiding, if you know the different routes, that helps you know where they're going to be. It also helps you set up control. If you know a route, if you know what route your opponent's doing, helps you have control, helps you break control. And then your positioning is going to help you in all these things. Keeping the high ground, knowing your ins and your outs, knowing how to keep distance and close distance, and when to commit for a kill. So hey, I hope that helped you understand a little bit about the dynamics of duel, how to position yourself, how to do fast routes, how to move in a duel. If you like this video, make sure you hit subscribe. I got a couple more duel videos coming on their way. Ring that bell so you get notified. See you guys later.